Cat TV is celebrating 30 years of community media. Help support Cat TV's next 30 years by becoming a member today. Your membership will help us continue covering meaningful, local content. Thank you for supporting your local community media station.
Hi everyone, can you hear me? Thank you all very much for coming tonight. I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule on this absolutely beautiful day to join us to talk about something fun, which is playgrounds in our community. In particular, the iconic playgrounds of Willow Park, which are now ready to be replaced. And this is our opportunity to hear from part of the team from Play by Design, which is going to be doing the new playgrounds, to hear from them about what to expect with these new designs. So thank you very much for coming tonight, and I'd like to invite Samantha to tell us more about these parks. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay, my name is Samantha. I'm from Play by Design. Can you guys hear me?
Not really.
Is that better? Okay.
Yes.
Much better.
Again, Samantha from Play by Design. We are a custom design playground company that typically specializes in community builds. That's how this playground was originally built many years ago. So when the time comes for these playgrounds to come up for review, we're usually the people to go to talk about their options. This project was awarded to Play by Design through a bid process, so we are very thankful and honored to be working with the town of Bennington. And the presentation is just going to go over some information regarding the playground in its current state. We're going to talk about play equity, inclusive play versus accessibility, and then we're going to go over the 3 proposed playground options. And at the end, there'll be the QR code for you guys to vote. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope you guys learned something as well. So the main playground at the lower end of the park has this beautiful engraved brick entrance. Our plan is to incorporate that into the new designs, and the whole purpose of this is to really try and keep that magic that was really put into the original playground. You can tell that many people put tons of hours and time into building both the lower and upper. The whole purpose of really updating these playgrounds is to really design it for longevity. These old wooden playgrounds at the time were really exciting and fun, but over years, the technology and materials used for playgrounds have really advanced, and the wooden structures really just become kind of a maintenance nightmare, unfortunately, for the Parks Department. So the whole purpose of really updating this playground and the parks is really to provide something that is more current with the standards and something that can last much longer and be a lot more cost effective to maintain over the years. Again, some information on that. The new playgrounds will be made out of steel, in addition to rotomolded plastic, HDPE plastic, things that are much easier to replace and maintain over time. Unlike the wood, I'm sure you guys are familiar, over time it takes a lot of staining and sanding and really constant upkeep with the wood material. One of the biggest concerns typically with the old wooden playgrounds is what we call line of sight. They're typically very dense structures. They utilize a 2x4 baluster system that may create a really fun castle look, but it also really prevents parents to really keep an eye on their children. It creates kind of unwanted hiding spots, and improving line of sight not only makes it a safer place, it really creates a more open air atmosphere for play. Improving the play equipment and play value is really probably the most important thing when it comes to upgrading these playgrounds. At the time that these playgrounds were built, they were one-of-a-kind structures, definitely leading in the market. All of the hose and chain materials, the use of tires and site-built components was really innovative and really special at that time. Over the last 30 years, standards and safety guidelines have really been implemented for playgrounds, so the structure currently has kind of reached its lifespan, and a lot of the play components are just, unfortunately, maybe not up to today's standards and are really showing its life. And you can see, like, that's an example of the hose and chain. At one point in time that was taut and tight and kids could go through it, and over the years the chains have stretched and sagged, and with current standards we wouldn't even implement hose and chain. In addition to not only putting in new equipment, it's also providing more variety of play. Back when this structure was built, we had a lot of the basics: monkey bars, trapeze rings, parallel bars, and slides. There's so many different types of play now that are not only designed for able-bodied children, but children of all abilities. So it's really important to have a cohesive play space for everybody. Just to get into a little bit of greater detail, in the upper playground, right now after walking through, I've been to the site twice, and although it looks pretty well put together, there's about 3 play components: the slide, the steering wheel, and the tire pyramid. By today's standards, some of it isn't even age appropriate for the ages 2 to 5. And in addition to that, we want something that's a little bit more open air for the younger age group, and something that really helps them learn and grow and develop skills. These are a few examples of age-appropriate play equipment. We have the rockers and the spinners, both great for that age, building up their core. At the lower playground, for how large the structure is, I was surprised to see that there were still about 18 play components still around. Some of them are very tired, and that count does include swings, but it's just very obvious that those pieces, like I mentioned earlier, the hose and chain components, they're not really appropriate for playgrounds anymore, in addition to the tires. The playground equipment that is there as well, it's also really only available for able-bodied children and their upper body. So even the able-bodied children that can use those pieces, they're really only targeting a few parts of their muscles. As I mentioned earlier, those old structures are really dense, very little line of sight, and with that, over time, you get this really severe weathering and aging look. You can see that the wood has now turned gray, and a playground is really supposed to be for children to start recognizing colors, developing social interaction, and when you have an environment like this, it really doesn't encourage that kind of growth. Here's just an example of one of the features in one of the designs. You can see how they're cable-based components rather than hose and chain, and there's various colors throughout the play structure. Again, just the lower playground, the 2 to 5 area has been pretty well stripped of some of the play components that were there. Many of the 5 to 12 components are also either, you can see that some have been boarded up, there's some barriers, and it's really not age appropriate for children 2 to 5. So that kind of just becomes a little bit of a safety hazard if you do have the young ones playing on things that just aren't age appropriate. You can see that they would call that like a walking bridge. The hose is really, the chain has really given out. Behind that is the balance on chains, which is that little wiggle. It's almost on the ground. And then there's some conveyor belt, which at one point in time had great bounce to it, but it's not really functioning too much anymore. Here's just some more examples of single post swing frames. Those are steel, 5-inch diameter. Those things will last a long time. 30 years you'll get out of those. And that's a new type of swing that I'll show a video of that really encourages multi-generational play. The experience of, you know, siblings swinging together, they get to touch, have that eye contact. Just again, the lower playground, it's just some pieces have really seen its life, and that's something to be proud of. 30 years is a significant amount of time for a playground to be loved, but this new design is what we're hoping will reflect the children now and provide another 30 years of great memories. Here's a good example. That's a fire pole on the right and parallel bars on the left. In today's standards, we would recommend putting a lot of color in those two play components, just for safety reasons. Having bright colors are not only make the space pretty, but they also provide visual cues for children who may not be able to see as well. Running around the playground and get a little crazy. It's nice to have those kind of components with bright colors. When we talk about risk with play, it's really pushing a kid's limits and developing skills in a safe environment. This playground, I think it gets to about 6 feet, which by today's standards is, they put 6-foot deck height sometimes in 2 to 5 play areas. So for a 5 to 12 area to have a 6-foot deck is not that challenging. Much of the structure has been, the play components have been removed from the structure, so it's really just mazes and cubes that lead to various slides, and you kind of just repeat that, maybe tag through the structure. You're not able to play on it necessarily. After working for Play by Design for some years, I really learned that safety surfacing is probably one of the most important features on a playground. Not only can it be a good percentage of your budget, but it is probably the most used part of the playground if you think about it. And having something that not only can wear and tear with the playground, but provide more functional use, such as pour-in-place pathways, as what's shown in this image, really enhances a playground beyond just like the standard safety needs. Here's an excellent example of the pour-in-place pathways. You can integrate pour-in-place rubber through the wood fiber. The smart way to lay that out would be to bring the pour-in-place to transfer stations, accessible and inclusive play pieces, entryways, slide exits, and underneath swings. Inclusivity and accessibility are probably the two most commonly used terms right now with playgrounds and their designs. Accessibility and inclusivity are two different things. Accessibility is addressing how a child gets to ramps, ground level activities, transfer stations, while inclusivity is taking the time and effort to make sure that every child has an opportunity to play equally. And again, this is a perfect example. This child is able to use a dish swing while the able-bodied child pushes that child in the dish. So it's creating equal opportunity for all kids to play together rather than just ensuring a wheelchair can get to a transfer station. And I love these two images. This is, to me, a good example of play equity. On the left-hand side, you have the Volta Spinner, which is included in all your 3 designs. This is an accessible merry-go-round where a child in a wheelchair can transfer out and enjoy the spinning sensation with their peers. And on the right, you have an activity panel that's placed along a ramping system, so that child can engage with the activity panel with their caregiver, parent, or peers. When we talk about inclusivity, it's pretty easy to stumble, next thought would be multi-generational space. A lot of the times inclusivity kind of stop with the children, but it's really including people of all ages. So creating a multi-generational space is what we're aiming for. By doing so, we're going to provide opportunity in the playground for parents to play with their children, in addition to offering 6 fitness stations between the upper and lower playgrounds. Now to show you the designs, we're going to start with the ramps to fun. In all of the playground designs, there will be repetitive components, but I will explain them. In this design, we have the pour-in-place pathways. Those will take you to, in this design, the ramp, the Innovo rocker, which is the wheelchair. It's kind of like a swing, but a rocking sensation. It'll take you to the Volta Spinner, the ends of slides underneath the swings, and all transfer points. This playground design has 74 play elements. In addition to that, we have multiple freedom swing seats, which are the high back swing seats that provide back and neck support. The Connect swing, where multi-generational use swing, where parent and child or siblings can sit on the same swing and face each other. In addition to that, we have the Innovo rocker that is found along the ramp system. So a child in a wheelchair can wheel onto the platform and rocking back and forth with other children, able-bodied or not. In addition to that, we have quite a few sensory-based components through musical panels and interactive panels. And this is the backside. In the upper right-hand corner, you will see the upper playground. It features 2 slides, 2 climbers, and a couple ground level activity panels, in addition to swings for both age groups. I have a quick video that shows how the Innovo rocker works.
Our Innovo rocker and Innovo bridge. This is a product that is integrated right into the middle of the play structure.
So typically a spot where you maybe would have just put a bridge in the design, now you have the opportunity to infuse a piece that adds play value and excitement. And it doesn't just do it for able-bodied children. This product really allows everyone to get in there and have a lot of fun.
We're always wanting to bring lots of different play activities and sprinkle in surprises. So this, Innovo rocker, Innovo bridge now is, wow, what is this? I can move this together with my friends.
So yeah, now that you can see it in action, sometimes it's a lot easier to understand how these pieces work. A lot of them are brand new to the industry, but I think this piece is really great. It allows kids to, on their own, if they're in a wheelchair, to use the component, which sometimes isn't always feasible, or they can use it with their peers.
Our Innovo.
This is the multi-generational Connect swing.
Burke's all-new connection swing is really intended to promote child attunement. Attunement parenting has really become popular because it develops emotionally strong children. And looking at natural behavior of parents have been swinging on swing sets with children for a long time, but there's never been a great way to facilitate it in a way that allows them to have physical touch.
We're all immersed in our screens and the busyness of daily life, and I think we're really lacking those kind of close face-to-face connections, and the connection swing really offers that opportunity in a unique way.
The connection swing is really intended to promote attunement with infants and adult caregivers. We also saw that when it came to adolescent siblings playing with one another, there was also that strong bond as well. Kids of all ages really enjoy swinging together and enjoying the experience.
One of the most unique features is this amazing design of this mechanism that holds the backrest up in place while a parent, a caregiver, a friend is getting into the swing.
What we've developed is a backrest where the child is sort of laying in a more reclined position. And beyond that, the parent has free use of both of their hands. So they're able to actually really give the child good support, and that's comforting for the child, and that adds to the bonding experience. Swing sets in the past have been not so inviting for adults to sit in for any duration of time, and we know that a parent is only going to be at the park as long as they're comfortable. So like our Novo line, we wanted to really promote comfort for an adult user.
We are bringing really multiple generations together. Why put parents or caregivers on the outer perimeter of the playground? Why not bring them together and play together? Kids want that, parents want that. Let's provide experiences that can facilitate those opportunities.
Burke's all-new connection swing, bringing parents and children together. This is Play That Moves Me.
That's one of my favorite play pieces. Next is just an example. This activity panel is actually inside this design, but each design has numerous activity panels, probably anywhere from 8 to 12.
Hide the Numbers is a game that I'm pretty passionate about. It's something that I played with my children. It's something I see grandparents play with kids, parents play with kids, and it's a great engaging experience. Whenever we could take learning outside and make it fun, that's when I think we've really done our jobs. Hide the Numbers is a great way for kids and families to interact together, to practice math, learn a little bit of strategy in a fun, low-pressure environment. And the cool thing about Hide the Numbers is that each time you use it or each time you return to the play space, the outcome's going to be different, and that's going to engage kids for a longer period of time. Having a variety of play panels, game panels is very important for a play environment to give children of all abilities opportunity to find something that they're comfortable with and also challenge them appropriately for the level that they're at. Games are a great way of promoting socialization and teaching kids in a different way than they may learn in a classroom environment. Hide the Numbers is just one example of a game panel, a play panel that gives our designers a lot of flexibility to help meet our customers' needs. They could create their own gaming pod, a freestanding gaming pod. They could interweave these on a structure, either below decks, above decks, and really use it in a variety of ways to help a customer envision how they could best utilize the space and maximize play value. Burke's all-new Hide the Numbers game. This is Play That Moves Me.
On to the second design, Canopy Discovery. This playground is pretty unique. It features 3 very large shade structures that are integrated into the playground structure itself, and the upper playground will have one as well. The 2 shades that are in the older 5 to 12 area are 15 by 15, and the one in the 2 to 5 is 15 by 19 feet. So that's pretty substantial shade for the space. I think it's very important to include shade, especially for the 2 to 5 age. So the fact that we could do that with this design, I think is really special. In addition to the shade, we of course have the pour-in-place rubber pathways again. Again, those lead to transfer stations, the slide exits underneath swings, and to the inclusive pieces like the Volta Spinner. This playground is pretty cool. It has the Volta dish swing in the back that allows a child in a wheelchair to transfer out and lay on the dish, or multiple kids can fit on the dish at one time and play together. Again, this design also includes the Freedom Swing seats, which have the high backs for back and neck support, the Connection Swing, which we just watched a video about, and both the 2 to 5 and 5 to 12 have quite a few play components and kind of like an obstacle course arrangement. That's very easy to achieve in a 5 to 12 area, but the fact that we have it in a 2 to 5 is really special. It will be age appropriate for the younger kids, and then it will really help them develop balance in their core and basic skills at that age. That's the back view, where you can see it also has a spring toy. And then there is a teacup spinner. The upper playground also has the shade, as I mentioned, 15 by 15, 2 slides, 2 climbers, and a ground level activity panel, and also 2 bays of swings with both types of swing seats. This is a quick video on one of the 2 to 5 slides. I just think it's a really neat glimpse into the smaller age group and their type of play. Again, I have another slide video, but this contour slide is pretty neat. It provides an inclusive play opportunity. It's basically 2 slide beds rotomolded together. They have the high wall sides to provide more support, and there's some great texture molded into the slide for any kind of sensory feeling. Spring toy or a rocker video. Every kid loves these. One of our biggest maintenance issues is that a kid that's way too big is trying to play on one of these and rock. It's just that vestibular rocking motion that's really important for kids, and kind of whatever age you are, you always just really enjoy that.
The new rockers help kids develop their core and balance abilities. From the moment they sit down on that rocker, they're going to be encouraged to propel themselves forward using their abs. And then as they move backward, they're going to have to balance themselves on and use their grip strength to keep themselves on that rocker. I think kids will really notice the gentle curves that insinuate motion.
Our last design, Heights of Adventure. This is a very modern playground design. It starts with that giant cable style net. They call it level X alleyway, and it really provides some challenging play opportunities for the children ages 5 to 12. Again, we have the pour-in-place rubber surfacing, the same high back seats, the connection swing, the inclusive Volta Spinner. This is called the Heights of Adventure for a reason. The slide goes up to 16 feet tall. It provides quite a bit of challenging play for the kids who are age appropriate. In that kind of arching tower, there's a bunch of cables that lead you to the upper deck. That's in addition to just following the steps up. So that's a lot of fun for kids who are in that age group. In the 2 to 5 area, we have another obstacle course, the spring toys, and a teacup spinner. And this backside, you can see the height of that S slide at 16 feet. Sorry, there's one other feature on here I forgot to mention. In the line with the swings, you can see that far one that's in an arch shape. That's called the Brava Swing. That's a really unique swing design that allows children who are in wheelchairs to transfer out of their chair and onto the swing component themselves. The cool thing about that swing is that until the child transfers into it, it is stationary. You have to physically sit inside of it and move it yourself. So it creates an easier way for a child to transfer in and out.
When we designed the Brava Swing, we started with research. We went to local playgrounds and we observed children playing. We noticed that there was one user who was in his wheelchair, parked next to the swing, watching his peers play. And he just wasn't able to get on the swing by himself to enjoy that same experience. And that was a problem that we wanted to address. The way we did this is we looked at how are we able to help a differently abled child have the independence to get on a play piece and start engaging with their peers without needing assistance. What we wanted to do was make sure that when the child was transferring into the swing, that the swing didn't move away from them. We addressed this by incorporating a swing that has more lateral stability.
When we brought a family to our test site and this little guy got into his mobility device, pulled right up to the Brava Universal Swing, transferred into it, sat down, and immediately started swinging himself. That was just an amazing moment and something I don't think I'm ever going to forget.
Not only can the child transition into the Brava Swing seamlessly from a mobility device, but also once they're in it, the experience is theirs. They can use it however is comfortable for them and have their peers join them because it's a swinging social space as well as being just a place to swing solo.
This is very unique to the industry because generally a child has been able to sit in the swing, but they haven't been able to use their upper body to make the swing go. What we found is that when we had users actually sit in the swing and experience this for the first time, it was revolutionary. They just lit up. So that's when we knew that we had a real success and we were providing an experience that these children may have never had before. The Brava Universal Swing by Burke. This is play that moves me.
The next video is to kind of show how that giant net structure would be used in the 5 to 12 area.
With Level X, we wanted to bring in an interesting new form that could accompany our post and platform structures, but add large sweeping curves and fresh shapes, something that you would typically more see in a bridge than a playground. So what happens when you take Level X and you put it next to a composite structure or even link it to that structure, it really impacts the overall form of the entire play space. And what we wanted to do with the Level X Ally is to bring that large play experience, that very impactful form, into a smaller piece that's more accessible. The great thing about the materials we used on the Level X and the Level X Ally is the dynamic motion that it provides. Both the rubber and the ropes are very interactive, so when kids start to play on there, they're not only mindful of their own play experience, but they also are mindful of what their motion is doing to translate to other users as well.
The Level X Ally really helps the development that's necessary in their core and their strength, their balance, It builds their agility. All the while it's very fun and they're enjoying doing something that is beneficial to them developmentally. You can really build some unique designs with this, and there's a lot of configuration options with it. You're able to use it freestanding, but you can also link it to a traditional play structure. The Level X Ally is a sibling to Level X, so you get the same unique, awesome design, and you also have the same play experience, but you're bringing it to those opportunities where it's a smaller budget, smaller space. Level X Ally. This is play that moves me.
And then the last video I have for you guys for the playground is the Volta Inclusive Spinner that has been incorporated in each design. And just quickly, the fitness area. We decided to do the same fitness area in all three designs. They all include a push-up station, a high stepper, parallel bar, a pipe climber, a balance challenge, and a lift and row unit. Each unit will come with their own instructional sign, and this will be placed in between the two play areas along that pre-existing pathway, so caregivers, whomever's going to the playground can keep an eye on the kids, and it's just a great feature to go along that trail. And those are just a couple different color schemes. Of course, I have a quick video just to show you how some of the pieces function. In addition to the three playground designs, the town is also offering the opportunity to get your input on colors. So we have 4 different options. The first one is Orchid. Burke, our manufacturer, is very well known for this color scheme. It is very loud and playful. Various colors throughout different components, yellow posts, aqua climbers and barriers, that purple slide, and different lime green throughout with hints of orange. This is the forest. It's pretty close to what was shown in your renderings. More natural, may fit a little bit better with a park theme, but it has that dark green, that maroon brown with tan accents through the plastic panels. Then we have Enchanted. I like this option as well. It has the natural, but it also has pops of the brighter green, the brown vertical posts, that kind of lime green rotomolded plastic, and then hints of the tan in different accent colors. Then we have Bayside, that aqua blue with climbers, a dark green with the vertical posts, that kind of navy blue rotomolded plastic, and hints of the tan in the smaller accent plastic pieces. I just want to make note that this is really an opportunity to hear your guys' input on how you want to see Willow Park and the future of it. We proposed these 3 designs, and we're really looking forward to your feedback. We're hoping you guys enjoy them, but what's important to us is really reflecting the community and how you guys want to play for the next 30 years. So just want to take the moment to answer any questions. And I'm also showing the QR code if you guys want to vote. The table over there also has flyers. I have large printout versions of the designs as well. Thank you.
Any questions? He's going to grab the mic and we'll come to you, okay? We'll come to you.
I'll stand up.
Oh, very good.
Stand up.
Hi, my name is Ashley Barber. I have quite a few questions actually. So in your 3 plans, are they set in stone or do you still have room to make changes?
Yes, we still have room to make changes. That's really the important part of this whole design process. These 3 are ones that I felt confident would replace the current playgrounds because they are such, you know, a beloved structure. So this is kind of our input. We did tweak it after the bid phase, but yes, there is opportunity to add, remove, get any kind of input that you guys may have.
I see that you have a lot of transfer options for kids that are in wheelchairs. As a parent, my daughter is in a wheelchair and she's 10. She's almost 60 pounds. So for us to consistently transfer her is quite an ordeal, and we were wondering about possibly a wheelchair swing or like the Gen swing. I don't know if you're familiar with those because they have the 5-point harnesses, and I noticed that a lot of the things do not have straps. So with kids with mobility issues, the safety issue is they are not strapped into a spinner if they're playing with other kids, or even a parent, that it becomes a safety hazard for our kids that have disabilities. I've been a community member for 10 years. My daughter has attended all SSV, the schools here at the Southern Vermont Supervisory Union. Not once has she ever had a playground to play on because she is in a wheelchair. And so my whole thing is I love all the designs, and I think it's time for Bennington to have an upgrade to Willow Park. My concerns are for so many kids in the community that are in wheelchairs because not all disabilities look the same. So for some of the ideas on here for transfers are amazing, but for kids that don't have the ability to say get on a swing and move themselves back and forth, we need options for kids who don't have that capability.
Yes, I think there are different opportunities that we can look at where a child would not have to transfer out. One example would be the Inclusive Spinner. It's a merry-go-round. Unlike the Volta Spinner that you saw, a child can just wheel right onto the spinner and play with their peers. That's a really great piece. There could be other opportunities we could talk to with the town and see how we can fit it in. And you mentioned that 5-point Gen swing. That is something that we can discuss. The Freedom swing is the high back. We've heard that feedback a lot. It has like a rotomolded plastic that locks in the center. Sometimes that doesn't fit the child properly, so that 5-point connection, that is something we could address.
Yeah, because we've tried to use the swings that have the plastic thing, but the plastic is slippery.
Yes.
So because she won't sit while we're trying to lock her in, she slides out.
Yes.
And so we've tried the whole time we've lived here to get more accessible options in school, in the community, and you know, it's been a challenge for us. So we were excited to see the new plans, but we were also disappointed because we didn't see options that maybe fit the standards for some of our kids in wheelchairs.
We really appreciate that feedback, and that's really why we're here to talk about it and why we're having this voting process. And going through multiple design phases. So we really do appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I just, I'm called to answer about direct facilities too. And, you know, as Samantha said, these were the 3 conceptual renderings. You know, another week of public comments, and definitely want to take this in. Within some of the designs, there's still room within the budgets that we had planned. So that's stuff that we can look to take in and incorporate more of certain aspects.
What is the overall budget of the playground?
500,000. That's what we plan as a max. Okay. Other questions?
Hi, Jean Connor. I just want to make one comment to piggyback what, I forget her name, mentioned. I think it's really cool because the equipment that would be appropriate for your child is also probably appropriate for any child.
Yes.
Which is wonderful. Okay. This may not be your problem, it may be more Paul's issue, but how accessible are the parking areas for families with children that are in wheelchairs to get from the parking area to the playground? Is that something we need to address as well?
I'd say specifically from if you go down towards the BMX track, that's probably the most level path to get into the upper playground area, or excuse me, the lower playground area. For the small 2 to 5 upper playground, of course, the upper pavilion parking provides a level pathway into there. If you're parking down, I'll have to look at the main parking area and double check on that.
Thanks, that's something to consider. It seemed, based on the little I know, that if we wanted to at some point in 5 years, it seems like they would be easily expanded if we wanted to bring in more equipment and even make the playground bigger. Is that true?
Within the park footprint currently, we're sticking pretty close to what is there. There will be some permanent, well, I guess anything can be removed, but we will have concrete curbing. But I guess that would be a park decision, you know, if there's funding, and we are trying to keep the use zones as tight as possible to maximize pour-in-place rubber pathways because they can be a bit costly. But needless to say, it's a park and there's open space, so there could be opportunity.
Okay. I was curious about the tactile components for blind children.
Okay. Unfortunately, we are stuck with what is currently available and manufactured. To kind of speak upon inclusivity, it's taken the lifespan of this structure to have manufacturers get on board for children in wheelchairs. So to say the least, the industry has tons of room to grow still. But for a, I guess, 100% blind child, there are minimal opportunities for children who are vision impaired. That's why we try to use the color cues. And that's why we have handrails, guardrails, everything to guide the child safely throughout the playground. The activity panels are really great because they are HD PE plastic that are essentially like etched. They are like sandwiched, so you can touch and feel all the letters. There is opportunity to put in braille panels, different types of panels that may be a little bit better suited for that type of child, and that's definitely an easy thing that we can change.
Okay. I just have one more quick question. What ages are appropriate for the fitness area? Would that be teenagers and adults, or?
Yes,
yeah, okay.
Yeah, teenagers and adults. There's no resistant weight on those pieces, so it's really just, you know, reading the instructional signs and doing the activity. You know, the balance beam is a balance beam, but typically we encourage teens and adults.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Sure.
In concern with vandalism, what is the plan for kind of protecting the new playground structure from anything like that? Or who would be responsible for maintaining that to make sure it's still safe, especially if we have handicapped options?
So I'll start with the Buildings and Grounds Department. We'd be the primary ones, and Mark Sawyer is my assistant. Every year we'll do an audit, as we do now, you know, with all our playground equipment, go through all the safety features, make sure everything is safe, sound conditions. If there's any special training or instruction requirements that we need for some of the new structures we might not have now, obviously we'll get that. And if we need to also call in a third-party person who's every so many years to do a sort of revalidation or certification, we'll be doing that.
Just to add to that, unlike the wooden structure, which was so unique and much different than what is available right now, it is so much easier to maintain these playgrounds. The old wooden playground, if something broke, it was very well could have been site built during that week that was built, and you know, Bob and Larry built that 30 years ago, so you can't really replace that. The great thing about this is that replacement parts are so easy to ship, and for Paul and the rest of the team, all they have to do is call me and I take care of it.
And also correct me for general, there's the different general warranties.
Oh,
And
yes.
equipments for
Yes.
that varies across what the equipment is.
Yeah, everything has warranties spanning from all the way up to 15 plus years, moving parts, rotomolded plastic. A lot of the plastic now, they try to put in this, I don't know, however they engineer it, so if it does get tagged or graffitied, it's a lot easier to kind of clean and scrub off.
And just to your general point as far as overall vandalism, we're really hoping with just the increased use of the park and everybody being there, you know, obviously it's something that as a community we watch out for and will maintain. Other questions from anyone? Bruce.
Hi, Bruce Lee Clark. Could you talk a little bit more about the pour-in-place pathways? We've talked about them as being rubber. What actually, do you know what is the substance and how is it delivered?
Yeah, so pour-in-place pathways are probably the most common way to include accessible pathways through a playground at a cost-effective way. We have tons of samples up front, and Laura's going to bring you one. So the way we would do that is that the pour-in-place rubber has a 4-inch stone pad. That black buffing pad that's on the lower part, that is the most important part that holds the impact attenuation. So all the playground equipment is rated for a certain critical fall height. So when if a child falls, they're hitting that, and that black buffing is absorbing the shock and it displaces it. The top cap also takes some impact, but it's really the fun color part. The black part is some sort of percentage of recycled plastic, and then the top layer that's colored is 100% virgin rubber. The way that is poured is that it sits on top of a 4-inch stone pad. They use a binder that they mix together, and they kind of trowel it down, similar to like a poured concrete slab. And then it takes about 48 hours to cure, and then you would rake in your wood fiber up against it so it all blended evenly.
Is there a community component to the actual building of the playground? I know it's not going to be pounding nails like it was 20 years ago, but I know the community is going to be involved in what we end up with, but is there an actual community piece to constructing it?
For the actual construction, no, but we are going to have one more meeting down at the park. That will be where I reveal the final design, and I will, kind of talk through the layout and kind of get everybody involved, and I'll walk the site with everybody. But in terms of actual construction, no.
I'm sorry, this is my last question, I promise. How do the playgrounds function when there's snow on the ground?
So for the most part, if you want to play on the playground while there's snow, you can. It's really dependent on the maintenance staff and how much they, remove the snow from the decks and stuff. I imagine they take down the swing seats for safety reasons. The shade canopies will have to be removed during the winter months. They are not designed to hold snow loads, but that's a very simple in and out process.
In fact, also, part of that would also be the fall protection. Currently with the wood chip fibers, obviously as that freezes and gets hard, you have no fall protection, so that's one of the main reasons. We will definitely talk with Play by Design and see if the port in place, if that's a year round. It might just be weather dependent. That's something obviously we can discuss.
Yeah, exactly. Once there's snow piling up on the actual safety surfacing, you can't really speak to the impact attenuation, how that would work.
Are there other questions?
All right, well, I just want to thank you guys again. Those are really great questions, and I hope this presentation really answered any other questions that you guys may have had. As I mentioned, please vote and provide the town with any comments that you may have. The QR code is available, and then we have some hard copies over on the table. I also have large prints of the designs if you want to talk about anything or just kind of point, and I'd be more than happy to talk through anything. Thank you.
I would just like to thank Samantha and Laura very much for coming over, and by all means, join us here as our communication director and myself as director of facilities. We had planned for another week of public comments and receiving those. So far we've had, I think, really strong interest, about 1,300. I think is what Jonas said as far as people providing direct input on one of the designs. So that really helps out. What we'd like to do is when we close the public comment section, compile things, work with Samantha and their team, and really render towards a final design that we bring forward. And again, the end state goal is then talk the actual construction and placement. With the final design, then we'll be able to actually start ordering equipment. And the delay time is about 8 weeks.
8 weeks, yep, 8 weeks.
8 weeks, so from once we have a final design, can place the order, and then in 8 weeks, and then Samantha and team coordinating the builders to come in. So the best case, we're looking late summer to have a functioning playground in place is what we're thinking with the timeline. So that's also what we're working hard in doing so. We can have something that we start enjoying, like I say, late summer into the fall, and have something for the next 25, 35 years or so. Okay. But thank you all very much for coming out tonight. Appreciate it.
Cat TV is celebrating 30 years of community media. Help support Cat TV's next 30 years by becoming a member today. Your membership will help us continue covering meaningful, local content. Thank you for supporting your local community media station.